Okay, well, that's kind of objective number one. So we've already started the teaming process, and we're just thrilled to that everybody's here today. Michael, can we go to the next slide? Um, of course, I'm finished with my talking here in just a minute, but then I'm going to turn it over to Michael Reyes, of our pre-award and post-award over the last 5 years at this point for the SBSS program. And Michael brings to the table over 20 years of construction management experience, working with companies like Gilbane, working on projects for Google, and in fact, but just in essence, so everybody knows, our SBS program has two parts. One is the pre-award, where we do all the great things on the left here, which number one, start to align your marketing communication materials from your statement of qualifications to your website if it needs sprucing up, to working with you on certifications, and matchmaking is a big one. Obviously, every business needs access to capital, but we really focus on financial resiliency and education. And we work with a lot of not only the banks, but the community banks, which are far more responsive in a lot of circumstances. We work with institutions that are interested and have a history of working with construction firms. And then, of course, we have a series which everybody should take note of. It's called the Ask Me Anything workshop, which is generally 10 people or less. And we focus them mostly on estimating and bidding strategies, because we believe that everybody's business is different. And if you get too large of a group, especially on bidding and estimating strategies, it's a little bit intimidating. People are afraid to ask questions. So we have these Ask Me Anythings, which are generally tied to a specific BART RFP. So we'll keep you updated on those as we go along. So, Michael, can we go to the next slide? So I want to make sure, I want to kind of do a couple kind of level setting things here, that in our BART SBSS program, we do not, and it would not be appropriate for us to make recommendations. We don't do that. What we do is we provide access to resources so you can make your own decisions. Today's workshop is not geared toward any one specific RFP. It's simply a review of bid package documents so that you can help facilitate. And anybody who's done work, we all know we get overwhelmed with opportunities. They come at us fast and furious, especially if you're a DBE firm. You're continuously getting bid documents sent to you. And we have found that people aren't really reviewing the bid documents accurately enough. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Michael. And Michael, can you take us through your presentation? Sorry, I got a little bit of a chest cold here. But Michael, enough of me, and can you take it from here?
Absolutely, Paul. Thank you very much. And, thanks for level setting this, by the way, Paul, because today's presentation, this workshop, is meant to be high level. And my recommendation and Paul's recommendation, he would agree that if we need to take it down to a more detailed level of discussion, definitely book some time with me and Paul so we can go into the specifics with you with regard to your specific company and your trade. So the scope of work really begins in understanding the bid package, right? I've been a construction and contract administrator even before I was a construction manager. So it dates back 30 years ago. And you always have to know the documents. But what I've found over the past several years that folks, it might be because of time constraints, but they kind of just dive into certain sections of the documents and skipping others that could leave them vulnerable. So we want to make sure today, the goal today is to understand areas where you can extract scope of work, focus on, and also understand what begins with the bid package. So let's start with that. I'm going to go to the next slide here, which covers understanding the bid package. If you haven't been into the BART solicitation portal and you need navigation support, be sure to reach out to the SBSS pre-award, Paul or myself. I'll actually put my contact information into the chat right now. And once you get into that portal, you're going to see what you see on the screen right here on the left is the solicitation documents, also known as the contract documents or the bid documents. And in those documents, you will see the contract book, which contains the specifications. And you'll also see here on this list, addenda, Q&A, exhibits, responses to the Q&A especially. But what I will advise everyone here is that when you do have access to this and you do click that little box that you see right here that says click here to download the solicitation documents, be sure to monitor the site. If you're interested in a project, monitor it. Don't wait for the project to speak to you. Be on top of it, be ahead of it, okay? Now, when you open a contract book, one of the first things that you're going to see is the general conditions. BART, however, keeps their general conditions on their BART website. It's not usually in it. They'll direct you in the bid package of where to find the general conditions. But I wanted to highlight this really quick because on GC 4.1.1, the one below, above is the intent of the contract documents. But on the assignments of work, it says here specifically, assignments of work to the various trades or crafts will be the responsibility of the contractor and a matter of agreement between the contractor and the subcontractors. So whether you're a subcontractor or a prime contractor here, take this to heed this message here, because you are required to know the agreement, know the documents through and through. And rightfully so, if you know the documents, you should be able to bid on them quite effectively and close to being accurate, if not accurate, okay? So let's go ahead and begin with reading the scope of the project. The project scope in the contract book will be found, you'll find the table of contents, which I'll go over here shortly, but the scope of work is always listed in the table of contents. As an example here, you see scope of work, the work consists of blah, 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 right? And again, as Paul mentioned, this is not for a specific project. This is a very general approach that we're taking today. So you want to begin with understanding the scope of work. And if you're a subcontractor, if you feel that or know that you're a first tier, second tier, third tier, or even a fourth tier subcontractor, begin thinking about where your tiers fall under the scope of work. Okay, it's very important that you grasp the project's scope and objectives so that you can peel away the onion layers to find out, hey, where do I sit? Am I a prime? Am I a first tier sub, say as like an electrician? Or am I a DBE subcontractor or SBE subcontractor or another electrician, as an example? So make sure that you look at the scope of work. The next thing that you want to do is you also want to look at the divisions, the CSI divisions, which is found in the table of contents section. Now, if you're not familiar with the CSI divisions, these are divisions that architects use, construction management firms use, so that we know where the divisions of work lie using these section numbers. There's an example that you see on your screen here that at a glance on this project, there's some concrete involvement, right? So if you're a C8 contractor, or if you have a specialized concrete license, you might have some involvement here. And look at the subcategories. Under Division 3, you can see Portland cement concrete, water stops, cast in place concrete. That should start triggering a process of thought where you know that, hey, I might, as a C8 contractor, I might have participation. And masonry, metals, so forth. Metals might not just be metal welding, it might be metal supplying. So hopefully this begins to stir thought. And what I'm conveying here today, by the way, is from the past 5 years of the SBSS program, Paul and I training small businesses and taking this to the table in this workshop. So everything that we're conveying today is from experience, what the small businesses have been asking for. It's very often that I will sit down with a small business and do a page turn session and go through the plan sets and do a deep dive into their specific trade and help them uncover where they can find opportunity to work or bid on a project. So the CSI divisions, these are very important to know, and be sure not to skip this when you are reviewing a bid document package. Okay, so moving on. This really reiterates some of the stuff. Know the specs, right? The contract book, those are the contract book is the specs. Okay, the bid document. Trade, now also know trade specific keywords. I'm going to read this off the screen so it's recorded. Look for trade specific keywords within the plans and specs: electrical, plumbing, carpentry, HVAC, terminology that indicates your relevance to a project. So look for those. And if you are not familiar with using the find function of a PDF tool, get to know it. So that way you don't have to go flip through 150 sheets. You can a lot of times find keywords like plumbing or cleaning, if you're a janitorial firm or a construction cleaning firm, to pinpoint areas in those documents and hopefully expand from there and search for scope and uncover scope. Specialized sheets or sections. Some plans might have dedicated sheets like the electrical plans, the civil plans. Those sheets are very specific, and also the details that come with those. Color coding or highlighting is a great method that's used in the industry to mark and identify areas pertaining to your trade. And also I would use Post-it notes and create tabs if you're flipping through these pages physically. If you're flipping through them on a PDF, hopefully your PDF has a bookmarking tool so you can locate these and bookmark them and keep those as a visual aid. And also learning how to cross-reference drawings, details, and specs, right? Looking at the drawings, which I'll go through later here in a second, and looking at the details tied to that. Again, this is meant to be very high level, okay? The next thing is you want to do is you want to analyze the drawings. And the way I've looked at analyzing the drawings from way back is they built an IKEA store next to my house in Washington State. And I was a young contract administrator then. And I looked at construction documents just like an IKEA set of instruction plans in a way. They're not perfectly the same, right? But the way I understood things, and as I teach it today, is that the general notes, the general sheet notes are so important to understand the step-by-steps of what needs to happen in that project. Those notes are there for a reason. They are the instructions on what to do with this project. They are not the means and methods. That falls into the contractor's or the designer's hands. I mean, the contractor's hands. But the general sheet notes convey a strong message. It helps you to dissect the drawings and helps you to maybe get redirected to details or cross references. Okay, so you really want to work hard analyzing the drawings, analyzing the details, reviewing the general notes, and also keeping an open mind of what tiers that you think your company will be able to be relevant at or to, and also the overarching specifications applicable to the trade that you're in or to the other trades that you might affect. Okay, so this is a sample plan in front of you. You see the general notes there. This is a detail page and a section page. Use those to your advantage. You can see in a detail there's concrete. You can see in the detail that there's steel. If there's steel, there might be some welding call outs. So think about where your trade plays relevance. All right, so moving forward. Breaking down the scope of work. As I mentioned earlier, dissect it. Itemize the scope of work that you're interested in or are focused at, and work yourself into the specific components of that scope. Divide the project into manageable sections, right? So now at this point, you should have maybe bookmarked areas of the plan set, the contract book, and start to dissect those into something that's manageable and work into those areas and uncover scope relevant to your trade. Check for dependencies. A very simple dependency, it could be if a contractor requires temporary office buildings on the site, they might need a day-to-day site cleanup. So as a cleanup company, that might be something relevant. Yet you might want to reach out to that prime and see if you can participate in that bid with them. Right, so look for dependencies, look for sequencing. So if you kind of get an idea of where this project would begin and end in terms of construction, you might find these dependencies in terms of sequencing, right? Final cleanup, punch list, or at the beginning, mobilization. Those are some examples. Something that always comes up in my conversations in our trainings is the importance of clarifications, right? Also known as requests for information, RFIs. What I've been finding is that it's sometimes late in the game when a subcontractor will have a question about a bid, but the deadline has already passed. Asking questions, when it comes to asking questions to the district, especially BART, there's a deadline. In the little red box there, no response will be made to inquiries received by the district less than 10 days before the scheduled bid opening. So if you're asking questions at the day or 2 or 3 days before the bid, you're not going to get a response. So it kind of leaves you in a disparity. So make sure that you know when the deadline is. Know that deadline. And let me see here. Clarity and understanding. It ensures a clear understanding of project requirements, so forth. Building relationships. This is another key factor here, is that when you're asking questions, especially if you're a subcontractor, asking questions to a prime contractor, that's a relationship building technique. It fosters a collaborative relationship between the contractor, subs, project owners. It also shows your commitment to understanding the project thoroughly. It shows your interest to the project. So asking questions will help you gain a better understanding of the scope of work and identifying or clarifying your opportunity relevant to that project. So moving on here. So this is sort of a summary here of the importance of contract document and review, scope review. So we want to make sure that you want to make sure that you're getting clarity for accurate understanding. Eliminate any vagueness. Tighten up the plan set for yourself. So thoroughly reviewing the documents helps you get that clear understanding. If you have questions, make sure you ask the questions. Understand the scope definition. It enables the contractors, the subcontractors to define their scope of work accurately. Again, as I mentioned, reduce vagueness, reduce ambiguities. Competitive bidding. Detailed document review facilitates precise cost estimation. It does. It really helps. You got to know the documents. Building strong relationships, as I mentioned just on the slide previously. Seeking clarification fosters this collaborative atmosphere amongst the stakeholders, the sub and the prime relationship. And also, the importance of contract review and knowing the documents helps in efficiency in project execution. You know the project well before you even bid on the project. You know the project after you've been awarded the project, hopefully. So having a clear scope of work idea through this document review process enhances your efficiency, right? Minimizing your rework and delays. So this was very streamlined, as I mentioned. It's also very high level. If you have specifics that you want to dive into, again, I suggest and I recommend that you sit down with me and Paul, reach out to our team, and we can help you further. And
Right.
that wraps it up.
And Michael, you're very kind to include me in that, but you are the master of the subject matter. So, and I just want to really underscore that the next steps from this is probably RFP specific. So if our attendees to today's event, one of the other services that's provided by the SBSS program is to basically help navigate the BART procurement portal. And that sounds kind of silly because, of course, it's a website. We're all used to doing that. But I will tell you that BART's website is deep. It has a lot of pages. And then once you get to the procurement website, you're going to want to easily navigate where are the bids being posted, where are the plan holder lists being posted, and so forth. Because as you identify those opportunities, you might want to reach out to Michael specifically and have him give you a tour of that procurement website. So that's another kind of added extra. And again, Michael and I and the other people who are part of the SBSS program, we're here to serve you. You know, you are the customer. Again, we can only provide access to resources, not recommendations. We cannot do the work. We basically want to prepare you so that you're able to embark upon that procurement journey.
Absolutely.
So Michael, you do have basically two, kind of offerings. One is assistance in helping people navigate the BART portal. And then the second thing is you can, on an RFP by RFP basis, simply, I don't want to call it a page turn, but you do provide that technical assistance to make sure that folks can navigate sometimes these very, very long documents. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, that's absolutely correct, Paul. And the documents are specific to BART, so it's great to see folks start to learn how to understand the BART process and the BART flow of documents precisely.
And then, Michael, can you just talk briefly about what the look ahead report and where folks can find those upcoming contract opportunities so they can track them early?
Yes, yeah, absolutely, Paul. So on the BART procurement portal, you can go to suppliers.bart.gov, and we can put that into the chat. But suppliers.bart.gov gives you the main dashboard page for the procurement side of things. And on there, you'll see the look ahead link that will show you the upcoming projects for BART. And they do a pretty good job of giving you about a 3 to 4 month forecast, which is awesome.
And because we know that public agencies are a very dynamic environment, is it kind of standard that many times, even though the RFP or RFQ or RFI might show up on the BART procurement, does it shift around quite a bit?
Well,
the dates?
Yes. So you want to stay on top of that. You want to stay on top of any addenda that are issued. So that way, if there's any changes in dates of due dates, bid due dates specifically, or pre-bid meeting dates, or if there are matchmakings for that project, they'll be found in within the solicitation.
Great. And the other thing which we have learned a lot through our SBSS program, and all of us who have done public works in the past, is that, we know that government and BART, they post the bid opportunity, they hold a pre-bid conference, which gives specific information about the pre-bid. And if the contract has federal dollars in it, BART will then also include a matchmaking session. But many times, our experience has proven that many times the teams are already put together well in advance of the pre-bid meeting. So is that one of the reasons why people should be watching that look ahead page, Michael?
Absolutely, Paul. It's good to prepare months, if not much longer ahead for a project, to build those connections, those relationships. And so that once the project solicitation is advertised, that they can hop onto that plan holder list and make connections, relevant connections.
Right. And Michael, can you share with everybody, because I both pre-award and post-award have produced kind of how-to videos, but could you talk about where people can get information to kind of help navigate this process?
Well, we have instructionals that we supply folks through PDFs, but as Paul mentioned, we are upgrading our site with videos. We produce several how-to videos, and these how-to videos are very short and concise. We know that folks want to get to the point. They're not hour-long or 45 minutes long. They're about 5 to 10 minutes. If you want to learn how to log into the portal, how to quickly navigate the portal to get to a certain section, how to look up the look ahead, as Paul mentioned earlier, and several other things. I think we've created a video for every link on the procurement portal page so far, Paul.
Great. And Michael, we can send out a link to that page and those information resources. So just so everybody knows that we will send out this PowerPoint deck to everybody who RSVP'd. And we took a screenshot of all the attendees today because I think there's some attendees who didn't even RSVP. So all good. So here is, as promised, here's the infamous contact slide. Faye, who you met earlier, I'm telling you, a remarkable resource, kind, efficient, smart. So keep his name in your Rolodex or your CRM. And then of course, my information. I'm the project manager for the pre-award program. Harry Overstreet from the Allen Group, another remarkable company. The Allen Group heads up the post-award. So certainly, feel free to reach out. We're grateful to everybody who participates in the program. And I think over the 4 years, we've had over 1,000 SBE, DBE, veteran, minority, women, LGBT firms participate. So I would actually say that the action item is for everybody to move forward, because we know you want and need customized assistance. Michael, did you include your email address in the chat?
I did, yes.
Okay, great. So everybody should, your first stop should be setting up a meeting with Michael to walk through any of this. And there are no wrong questions. We are here to serve you. So were there any questions in the chat that we can do? I know we're heading right up to 11 o'clock, but anything that comes up?
Well, nothing that I see so far. I see it. Thank you. And by the way, did we mention that the SBSS program is free?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the best thing. Yeah, we love things that are free.
Absolutely.
But free in the context that free stuff many times doesn't have perceived value. But again, this is where you guys, and you've had, again, we've had participants, AC, Dana's been a part of the program for quite a while, Karastek, Karen Bartlett, Joel. So there's lots of people who can kind of talk about how SBS has hopefully help their business. So I want you to make sure that everybody, and if everybody would like, we're happy to share the email addresses for folks who are here today. We don't like to do that unless you want that. So if you don't want it, go ahead and send me an email at paul@pendergastconsultinggroup.com. So, well, thank you, Karen. I appreciate that. So, okay, well, great. Well, then I think we are right at 11 o'clock. So unless there's any questions, we're grateful for your time. And most of all, we want to celebrate your success. So whether you're in Nevada, Humboldt, LA, we're here for you. So have a great day, everybody, and Happy New Year. Be
Thank
safe.
you.
Bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
Paul. Thanks, Michael.
Okay.
Appreciate you all.
Yes,
You
thank
bet.
you both. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
Hey, bye.